The birthday game. I always thought birthdays were supposed to be fun, filled with cake, laughter, and the kind of warmth that made you forget how cruel the world could be. But in my family, birthdays came with rules wrapped in whispers and shadows, stitched into something we called the birthday game. It had started when I was young, maybe 6 or 7, old enough to know that games should end with someone winning a prize, but not old enough to understand that sometimes the prize is the trap. Every year, when the clock struck midnight on my birthday, I would wake to find a note taped to my bedroom door. The handwriting was always the same, slanted, elegant letters that looked like they'd been carved into the paper instead of written. The note always said the same thing: your gift is hidden. Find it before midnight ends. My parents told me it was a tradition. That their parents had played it, and their grandparents before them. They said it was harmless. That the game brought good luck, prosperity, protection. But there were rules. I had until midnight the next night to find the gift. If I failed, the game would play me. I never really knew what that meant. When I was a kid, the gifts were small things: a toy I'd wanted, a book, a necklace. They were hidden under the couch cushions, in the pantry, once even inside the dryer. I laughed, I searched, and I always found them before the deadline. The game felt silly back then, just another odd family tradition like singing too loudly or hiding the pickle ornament in the Christmas tree. But as I got older, the gifts grew stranger. One year it was a mirror, antique and cracked, the glass fogging up whenever I touched it. Another year it was a photograph of me sleeping in my bed, taken from an angle that suggested the photographer had been standing just inside my doorway. My parents would smile when I found them, clapping their hands like it was all a bit of harmless fun. But there was always a glint in their eyes, something guarded, something they wouldn't explain. This year was different from the start. My parents were away, an anniversary trip, some excuse to leave me in the house alone for the weekend of my birthday. I was turning 21, finally stepping into adulthood, and they said it would be good for me to handle the game myself. That morning, when I opened my door, the note was already waiting. The handwriting was the same, the letters cut into the page as though ink had never touched it. I told myself it was a prank. Maybe my parents had changed the rules this year to make it more thrilling. But as I walked back into my room, I froze. Your gift is hidden. Find it before it finds you. That was new. The words chilled me in a way the old notes never had. I read it again and again, staring at the inkless grooves. Find it before it finds you. The faintest sound drifted down from above me, the slow drag of footsteps in the attic. Heavy, deliberate, measured. My heart thudded against my ribs. I laughed nervously, shaking my head. Houses made noises. Wood expanded, pipes groaned. That's all it was. I crumpled the note into my pocket and tried to get on with my day. By evening, the house felt colder, darker than usual, as though the shadows had learned how to cling to the walls. Nothing. By 9 o'clock, I was tearing the place apart, desperate to find something, anything, that would count as my gift. But there was nothing. The house mocked me with its emptiness. Then, just as I sank onto the couch in frustration, I heard it again, the footsteps. Only this time, they weren't in the attic. They were above me, on the roof. I stood slowly, every nerve in my body screaming at me to stay still. The footsteps circled, pausing right over the living room. Then, with a long, scraping groan, they moved toward the attic hatch. I grabbed the flashlight from the kitchen drawer, the beam trembling as much as my hands, and pulled down the attic ladder. Cold air spilled down, carrying with it the sharp, metallic tang of rust or blood. I swallowed hard, forcing myself upward. The attic was empty, just boxes stacked in neat rows, cobwebs like lace draped between them. But in the far corner, something shifted. A shadow hunched low, breathing. The beam of my flashlight landed on it, and my stomach turned to stone. It was a cage. Old, iron bars streaked with rust, a lock hanging from the latch. And inside the cage was me. Or rather, something that looked exactly like me. She crouched in the corner, eyes wide, hair tangled, her body trembling like a trapped animal. Her voice cracked when she whispered, "I lost the game last year." I stumbled back, the attic spinning around me. My breath came in shallow gasps. What the hell is this?" She crawled closer, the chains around her ankles dragging against the wood. Her face was mine, down to the scar on my chin from when I'd fallen off my bike at 12. But her eyes, they were wrong. Darker. More hollow. She reached through the bars, fingers brushing the air between us. It finds us if we don't win. It keeps us. And then, it takes our place. I bolted down the ladder, nearly breaking my ankle as I landed. My double's voice followed me, echoing in the hollow spaces of the house. "Don't let it find you. Don't let it wear your skin." The rest of the night blurred into madness. I locked myself in my room, every creak of the floorboards outside convincing me that something was walking toward my door. At one point, I swear I heard my parents' voices, calling my name softly, telling me to come out. But I knew they weren't home. And when I peeked through the keyhole, all I saw was an eye staring back, my eye, bloodshot and smiling. The clock ticked toward midnight. I sat on my bed, clutching the flashlight, waiting for the night to end, for the game to be over. But just before the final stroke, the bulb in my flashlight flickered and died. Darkness swallowed the room. Something moved in the corner, dragging its breath like wet cloth. I whispered into the dark, "What are you?" A voice answered, low and guttural, layered with echoes of my own. "I'm your gift." When the clock struck 12, the door creaked open. Cold air washed over me, carrying with it the smell of dirt and old wood. And then I saw her, me, step into the room. Not the caged version. Not the trembling one. This one was strong, confident, her smile stretched too wide across my face. She reached out a hand and whispered, "Happy birthday." I don't remember what happened after that. When I woke, the house was quiet again, the sun streaming through the blinds as though nothing had happened. My parents returned later that afternoon, asking if I'd enjoyed the game. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but when I opened my mouth, I heard a laugh escape, a laugh that wasn't mine. I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. My face smiled back at me, but the eyes were hollow, dark, wrong. And deep inside the glass, behind that smile, I saw her, still in the cage, still waiting, her hands pressed against the bars, her lips mouthing the same words over and over. "I lost the game last year. I lost the game last year." Now, as night falls again, I understand the truth. I didn't win. I never won. The game doesn't end when the gift is found, it ends when the gift finds you. And I think, maybe, this was never about protecting us. It was about replacing us. One by one. Birthday by birthday. Until nothing is left but the cages in the attic, filled with the people we used to be. And tonight, when I hear the footsteps again, I know it won't be searching for her. It will be searching for me.